So thank you, everyone. Thank you, Devan. Again, if anyone has any tech issues, put them in the chat or message Devan, and hopefully he can help you out there. Welcome to Community Energy Wales's webinar on education on climate and energy. I'm Izzy, and I'll be chairing and giving a little talk of my own in just a second, and I'll get straight into the outline for today. So right now we're in the introduction to today's talk. We're going to have 6 speakers, including myself, talking today, and I will introduce them as we go. We're going to have a little 5-minute break in the middle of our speakers, just so everyone's not staring at a screen for an hour and a half straight. At the end, we should have time for a 10 or 15-minute Q&A, but this might not be enough time to answer everyone's questions. And so you are more than welcome to put questions in the chat as speakers are speaking or once they've finished. And our speakers hopefully should be able to answer some of those in the chat and then some of them in the Q&A. And then at the end of the session today, we're going to have details for our working group, which this webinar is launching, and then we'll close the session from there. So why are we having this event? First of all, to hopefully share knowledge, inspire and overcome barriers when it comes to education on climate and energy. And one of the main reasons is to launch Community Energy Wales's new education and outreach working group. I'll give you exact details at the end, and those will also be emailed out, so don't worry if you just missed the end of the session there. This is something that our members have asked for and we see the importance of, so that's why I'm starting up. So why climate education? The UN recognises education as the key to addressing the climate crisis. Knowledge is power. If you don't know what's happening, you can't tackle it. And education on climate encourages people to challenge their attitudes and behaviours, challenging damaging systems, make more informed decisions that can help build resilience and more resilient communities, come together and take collective action, and so much more. And on the right here, we have just 4 of the UN Sustainable Development Goals, which are all in some way related to climate and related to climate education, therefore. And now I get into talking a bit about my work. So first I'll talk a little bit about me. I'm Izzy McLeod. I am the Operations and Development Officer for Community Energy Wales, where I work part-time. I also work part-time as a freelance climate communicator and artist. My work covers a broad range of topics. I talk about everything from sustainable and ethical fashion to queer ecology to renewables. And the majority of this work focuses on climate justice and intersectionality. So that's looking at the ways that lots of different issues all intersect with the climate crisis and all overlap and affect each other. I also talk a lot about climate anxiety as a young person working within the climate movement. But today I'm focusing mostly on reimagination, which is an idea that goes across all of my work, and hopefully give you an idea of what that's about. On the right-hand side here, I have me in front of the Big Pit Mining Museum, which is actually where I did my dissertation project for my master's degree, and a resource here created in collaboration with A New Direction on their teaching for creativity. This is on connecting to climate change for Key Stage 2, just to give you a little bit of an idea about
climate justice, intersectionality, climate anxiety.
So yes, I am, well, depending on who you ask, I'm aging out of being a young person, but a young person in the climate movement, and so have known from a very young age that climate change is real and it's scary and that our future, if you ask mainstream media, is bleak. And that's what I've grown up with. And often when you look at mainstream media, when you look at the news especially, we're given one narrative, and that's that the future is scary and disastrous, and that we're looking at floods and droughts and mass migration and all of these issues. And I don't want to shy away from the fact that this is the reality for many communities now, and this will be the reality for even more communities in the future. But I think it's dangerous to only focus on this area of the climate crisis. Only being shown images like this as our future leads to dread, hopelessness, and ultimately inaction. If this was all I focused on in the work that I do, I'd want to give up, get into bed, and maybe never leave again. Maybe that's a little bit dramatic, but I definitely stray away from climate work anyway. And just being shown this future and sort of hailing the doom that is to come is often known as climate doomism, and this can be just as dangerous as climate denial in some instances because they both lead to inaction and not doing anything. So what can we do instead? Well, one question I like to ask is why we are tackling the climate crisis. And the big one here that is sort of the focus from the images before is limiting these catastrophic effects. However, I don't think that just curbing emissions and just limiting catastrophic effects is why any of us are doing this work. You'll probably have reasons that aren't on the screen, but for me, it's about climate justice and tackling injustice. It's about access to clean air and better health, building safer and more resilient communities, supporting and improving biodiversity, which gives us as humans who are part of nature a better connection to nature. If we're tackling the productivity and consumer culture, that gives us more space in life for rest and joy. And within that as well, fairer pay and better working conditions for all, and so much more. And already, I think this gives us something better to work towards than just limiting disaster. And one thing I never waver in any of the work that I do is that building a better world is possible. No matter how far along we get, no matter what happens, we can build better than we have right now. And one of the activities that I like to do, I often do this with little ones, but these pictures are all from Community Energy Wales's Away Day back in the autumn. And I asked people, what do we want the future to look like? And this exercise, this is just one way of doing this, but I asked people to sit down for 5 minutes and imagine what they want their future community or the future world or future area to look like. And I think within Community Energy, at least, Community Energy Wales at least, you can see a similarity in our shared vision for the future. Some of the things that we've got in here is better water quality, better biodiversity, community gardens and access to local food, no more fossil fuels in communities powered by locally owned renewables. You have better access to transport and active transport, happier communities, the list goes on. And already, if we compare this or look side by side at these visions for the future and at the pictures we looked at before, you think, okay, I'm not wanting this, and this is something I do want, and that gives us a lot more to work towards. And one thing I will say, if you look at these pictures and look at the pictures here, that community energy to me is reimagination in practice. And all of these communities who are doing work currently first had to believe that doing something better was possible. And so that's where reimagination comes into things as well. Sitting down, going, what can we do? What is possible? And then building and working towards that. So yes, that is about it for me. I will now be handing over to Claudia from Energy Sparks, and I will stop sharing there, and hopefully Claudia can share the screen there.
Okay, thanks for having me along today. I'm Claudia Towner. I'm the CEO of Energy Sparks. Energy Sparks provides a school-specific energy management tool and energy education program to support schools to reduce their carbon footprint. We started back in 2017 as a project of a local charity in the Bath area, Transition Bath, and then we transitioned to a separate charity in March 2020. We did significant initial tool development of our online energy management tool, thanks to funding from the Department of Business, Energy and Industrial Strategy. And that funding also supported our growth across the UK. We're now working with over 750 primary and secondary schools across England, Scotland and Wales. That includes at the moment 111 schools in Wales, and that number is growing all the time. At the moment, we're able to offer Energy Sparks free of charge to state schools, supported by funding from the DfE, from Welsh Government, local authorities and a number of charitable trusts and foundations. So our service, the key component of our service is our online energy management portal, which shows pupils, staff and volunteers how much energy the school is using each day. We have specific user-focused dashboards designed to put the school's energy use into context and to present insights that are applicable to specific user groups. So we have an adult-focused dashboard and a pupil-focused dashboard. We provide bespoke analysis of schools' energy consumption data with suggestions of actions that the school community can take to save energy and reduce the school's carbon emissions. We provide engaging color-coded graphics to highlight to the user when they're using energy. For schools, a very easy way to cut consumption at little or no cost is to target the energy use during the school holidays, at weekends and overnight when normally nobody is in the school. So we use our color-coded graphics to immediately flag up those opportunities for how much the school is using during the school holidays, for example, which is highlighted in the charts in red. You can drill down into our charts to explore the data on a yearly, a weekly, a daily, or even a half-hourly basis. We provide online, email and text alerts that give warning of changes in a school's energy use, highlight problems with energy consumption with focus recommendations to save energy. Our alerts also celebrate if schools are doing well, and they're all linked to pupil activities so that the pupils can go off and take action that is particularly targeted at the problems that their school is facing. We have over 120 pupil activities to support the students to take impactful action. And those activities have downloadable lesson plans, activity sheets, presentations and videos. They're designed to make it as easy as possible for school staff to support their students to take action. Some of our activities are collated into programs and focused campaigns. So if you want to target a particular issue at your school, for example, holiday gas consumption, then we have a program that groups together a range of activities just to address that specific issue. When the pupils carry out activities, they're encouraged to record the activities that they do through the Energy Sparks portal. They get points for every activity that they record, and then that goes towards their position on the Energy Sparks scoreboard. And at the end of each school year, we have prizes for the top winning schools. So that's an extra motivator to keep the students wanting to engage and keep doing activities related to energy saving throughout the school year. For adult users, we provide more detailed analysis to support them with things like heating system and boiler control. So lots more insights there if you want to dig into the detail. We also have a school comparison and benchmarking tool that allows you to compare your school against other schools within your local authority or other similar, say, primary schools or special schools. Alongside the energy management portal and all the online resources, we also at the moment have funding to provide in-person and virtual education workshops, assemblies and in-school staff training to support schools and really kickstart their engagement with Energy Sparks. We also have some funding for virtual one-to-one energy audits. So that's essentially a video call where ideally a group of staff and students have a session with one of our auditors to go through their school's energy data and our analysis and to have a bit more hand-holding to support them to develop an energy action plan for their school. We provide lots of online training for school staff. Some of it's focused on specific user types at the school, so to support, for example, estates and site staff. Other training is more focused on, for example, embedding Energy Sparks within the curriculum. We provide email and phone support to schools and then regular newsletters with energy saving tips. In terms of our environmental impact, schools that engage with us can normally expect to save around 10% off their energy bill in the first year of engaging. So that equates to savings of between about £2,400 and £6,000. It's a big range there at the moment because schools are on quite a range of energy tariffs. Some are now paying some very high rates, whereas other schools are on lower long-term contracts where rates are still quite cheap. That savings is also equivalent to about 8 tonnes of CO2 for an average 2-form entry primary school. If you're looking at secondary schools with obviously much higher consumption, then the potential for cost and CO2 savings is much higher. And some of our most engaged schools have achieved savings of up to 30%, typically by addressing the 3 issues: that's holiday use, weekend use, and boiler heating start times in the morning. Lots of schools have their heating coming on at something like 1 or 2 a.m. in the morning, just because nobody really understands what's going on with the heating system, and there's not been, until they join Energy Sparks, that transparency from the data to be able to actually see what's going on when nobody's in the building. Pupils and staff also obviously take home energy saving life skills to reduce their own personal and family carbon footprint. And then here are just some insights from last term. We analysed the schools that we had on Energy Sparks at that point, and the schools with enough historic data on our system so we could compare their consumption in autumn term 2022 with autumn term 2021. And we saw over 300 schools see an average electricity reduction across that time period of 10%. That was saving in total about 460 tonnes of CO2. And we saw over 200 schools see an average gas reduction of 19%, which is really impressive. And that saved about 900 tonnes of CO2. So some really great savings there. Alongside the environmental impact, Energy Sparks is also empowering pupils just generally to be able to take more action to reduce their school's carbon footprint, to see the impact of their actions, which is really important to keep them motivated and actually see whether what they're doing is worthwhile, to develop better environmental awareness, to participate in leadership and collaborative opportunities. So really working with school leadership to support them with saving energy, to build communication and analytical skills, so from looking at real life energy data, to be motivated to take responsibility for their school, to have opportunities to influence and engage school and community leaders, and to develop positive responses to climate change, and to help tackle climate-related anxiety. In Wales, Energy Sparks, as I mentioned, has over 100 schools. We're currently being supported by the Welsh Government to produce a Welsh language version of Energy Sparks. That is already launched. I put the link here directly to the Welsh version. We have translated all the main dashboards and all the pupil activity resources. We're now just completing translation of the more detailed adult-focused analysis. And that translation is due to be completed by April this year. We've already got a really successful partnership with the community energy company Ynni Co-op, who've been supporting us with the rollout of Energy Sparks across South Wales, and with delivery of workshops to some of the schools across that area. We also now have an Energy Sparks in Wales steering group with members drawn from schools, community organisations and local authorities, and they are supporting us with the rollout of Energy Sparks to more schools across Wales, and making sure that Energy Sparks is well aligned with the Welsh curriculum and other energy saving activities taking place in Wales. If you're interested in working with us, then I've put some suggestions here for next steps, depending on who you are or what organisation you represent. So if you're a school or a local authority, the best way to proceed is to go to this link here to enrol your school. in our services. If you're a community energy group, then it would be great to be able to talk to you, to look at opportunities to promote Energy Sparks to the local authorities and schools within your area. As I mentioned, we're just at the moment working largely with schools across South Wales, but we'd like to move further north across the country. We can provide marketing materials if you're able to help us in that way, and happy to discuss opportunities for joint education workshops. If you'd like to contact us, then please use the hello@energysparks.uk email address. Thanks.
Thank you so much, Claudia. If you have any questions, please feel free to put them in the chat, and I will make sure that that presentation is sent out so you have all of those details if you need them. Next up, I will be passing over to Sara from GwyrddNi.
Sorry, right, we're there. Iawn. A be ydi GwyrddNi? Ydy, da ni'n mudiad sy'n gweithredu ar newid hinsawdd, a mae di iloli yn y gymuned ac yn cael ei arwain gan y gymuned. A da ni'n gweithio ym 5 ardal yng Ngwynedd, sef Bro Ffestiniog, Dyffryn Ogwen, Dyffryn Peris, Dyffryn Nanlle a Pen Llŷn. A dod â pobl ynghyd i drafod a dysgu a gweithredu'n lleol ar newid hinsawdd lle. Mae gennym ni partner ym mhob ardal, sef Cwmni Bro Ffestiniog yn Bro Ffestiniog, Partneriaeth Ogwen, Dyffryn Ogwen, yr Orsaf yn Pen y Groes, Cyd-Ynni yn ardal Dyffryn Peris ac Ynni Llŷn yn Mhen Llŷn. A wedyn, mae pob un o hein yn mentra cymdeithasol a chymunedol lle. A wedyn Cwmni Deg sydd yn menter cymdeithasol hefyd yn cydlynu'r mudiad os liciwch chi ar draws y 5 ardal. Dyna ni'r ardaloedd yn fan'na, os ydych chi eisiau gweld. Da ni'n cael yn ariannu gen y gronfa lottery. A wedyn, mae yna prif gwaith gwyrddni mewn ffordd ydy dros y 2 flynedd yma wan lle, ydy hwyluso cynulliadau cymunedol ar yr hinsawdd yn y 5 ardal. A'r syniad ydy cael bod yna 50 aelod ym mhob ardal sy'n cynrychioli'r boblogaeth yn lleol lle, yn dod at ei gilydd yn ystod cyfres o 4 cynulliad cymunedol ar yr hinsawdd, ac yn ceisio atab y cwestiwn sut fedrwn ni yn Bro Ffestiniog neu Dyffryn Peris ymatab yn lleol i newid hinsawdd. A wedyn, y nod ydy mewn ffordd bod y criw yna, bod ni'n hwyluso fel bod y criw yna yn gallu atab y cwestiwn wrth cyd-greu cynllun gweithredu lleol. Hynny ydy'r ochr cymunedol, os liciwch chi, o'n gwaith, sydd yn plethu hefyd hefo'r rhaglen addysg. A wedyn fi di'r swyddog addysg gysylltu ac allgymorth, a wedyn dwi'n cyfrifol am yr ochr addysg, os liciwch chi. Wedyn, da ni wedi bod yn gweithio hefo 20 ysgolion yn ardaloedd yn y 5 ardal lle, cymysgedd o cynradd ac uwchradd. A be ydy'r rhaglen addysg yn y bôn ydy sesiwn cychwynnol ar yr hinsawdd, ac yn edrych ar newid hinsawdd, be ydi o, pan bod o'n digwydd ac yn y blaen, a sôn chydig bach am teimladau, pan da ni'n mynd ati i trin a trafod yr hinsawdd. Ac erbyn diwedd y sesiwn yna, bod ni wedi gweithio allan be yn y bôn da ni angen neud mwyn ymatab i newid hinsawdd lle. A wedyn yr ail gam ydy cylchdaith cymunedol, lle mae, byddai'n mynd i mewn i mwy o manylder am hyn mewn eiliau bach, lle mae gennau lyniau a falle. Ond yn y bôn, lle mae plant o'r ysgolion lle yn mynd ar ryw fath o carasel, os liciwch chi, o amgylch gwahanol datrysiadau hinsawdd sydd ar y gweill yn lleol lle. A wedyn, dod â'r plant ynghyd i gynnal cynulliad ar yr hinsawdd yn ei ardal nhw lle maen nhw'n cael cyfle i trin a trafod a penderfynu be yn fwy yn lleol da ni'n bod yn gwneud am newid hinsawdd. A wedyn maen nhw'n cyflwyno i canfyddiadau nhw, os liciwch chi, i'r cynulliad cymunedol neu cynulliad yr oedolion, a bod i syniadau nhw wedyn yn bwydo mewn i gwaith y cynulliad cymunedol ac i'r cynllun gweithredu yma sy'n wrthi'n cael ei ddatblygu. A'r cam wedyn ydy cyfle i weithredu, i wneud rhywbeth yn ymarferol lle. Yn ddelfrydol mae hynny'n mynd i fod yn seiliedig ar rhai o'r syniadau sydd wedi dod allan o'r cynulliad nhw lle. wrth i gweithio allan sydd wedi gwneud hynny ar hyn o bryd, a wedyn cyfle i ddathlu ar y diwedd yr holl waith sydd wedi digwydd. Felly, dyma jyst y rhai lluniau o'r sesiwn ar yr hinsawdd lle, o'r gwahanol ysgolion. Ac wedyn, dyma rhai lluniau o'r cylchdaith, felly dyma'r cylchdaith yn Dyffryn Nanlle. Felly gathon nhw gyfle i weld lot o gwaith mae'r orsaf wedi bod yn wneud yn lleol, sydd yn datrys problemau eraill yn y gymuned, ond sydd hefyd yn datrisiadau hinsawdd lle. A fedrwch chi weld yn fan hyn cyfle i weld yr trafnidiaeth cymunedol, trydanol lle, gweld y gofod gwneud ar caffi trwsio, hefyd i gweld yr ardd gymunedol sy'n cael ei ddatblygu ar hyn o bryd. Oeddwn ni fod i ymweld ar rhandiroedd, ond oedd hi'n bwrw'n ofnadwy, felly gathon ni'n cyfle i weld y rhandiroedd, ond gathon nhw gyfle i clywed am heini lle ac adeiladu potia bach allan o bapur mwyn plannu adra lle, a hefyd y gofod creadigol sydd gen yr orsaf, ac wrth gwrs, gyda'r neges, mae'n hynod bwysig, rhan o gweithredu ar yr hinsawdd ydy bod ni yn cael drosol sut da ni'n teimlo am hynny a rhannu neges am be fedrwn ni'n neud am y peth lle. Dyna Dyffryn Nanlle. Dyffryn Ogwen fan hyn, cyfle i weld llwyth o gwahanol bethau fanna, eto gerddi cymunedol, yr cynllun hydro cymunedol yn yr ardal lle, y car trydanol cymunedol, llyfrgell y pethau, sef llyfrgell yma modd benthyg pethau lle yn hytrach na llyfrgell, y banc bwyd, a hefyd gweithdy beics lle mae pobl lleol yn gallu benthyg beics a heirio beics, ond hefyd mae'n le i bobl dod i ddysgu sut i trwsio beics ac yn y blaen lle. Dyn yn Dyffryn Peri, so gyda ni pethau eraill eto lle, oedd gyda ni, athyn nhw i weld Tyddyn Teg sydd yn gwmni cydweithredol lleol sydd yn tyfu llysiau, gwerthu llysiau'n lleol. Gathon nhw fynd i weld gwaith mae'r ymddiriedolaeth afonydd Gogledd Cymru wneud ar yr afonydd a'r llyn, i gadw'r afonydd a'r llyn yn lan. Gathon nhw cyflwyniad gyda ni Padarn Peris, gathon nhw mynd i'r rhandiroedd a'r perllan cymunedol, eto gweld y car cymunedol trydan, a hefyd ymweld â cwmni lleol Open Energy Networks sydd yn gweithio i helpu pobl a busnesau cadw rheolaeth ar ynni nhw lle. Dwi jyst gobeithio eto fel da chi'n gweld dwi ddim yn gret efo technoleg, dwi'n mynd i ddangos ffilm i chi o un Bro Ffestiniog. Dwi'n gobeithio wneud hyn weithio. Mae heddiw yn rhan o taith hirach. Mae'r ysgolion sydd yn cymryd rhan yn rhaglen addysg GwyrddNi arno fo lle. Mae'r taith di cychwyn gyda gweithdy yn yr ysgol. Fydden ni'n cynnal cynulliad cymunedol ar yr hinsawdd yn yr ysgol. Felly fydden nhw'n cael cyfle i trin a trafod a meddwl be yn fwy da ni angen bod yn gwneud fel cymuned i ymateb i newid hinsawdd. Dyna chi'n cael heddiw mewn ffordd ydy cyfle i fynd rownd a gweld yr holl bethau sydd yn... Wel, dwi'n deud yr holl bethau, dim ond rhai ohonyn nhw ydyn nhw. Wrth cynllunio'r diwrnod yma, da ni wedi gorfod gadael llwyth o bethau allan achos o'na jyst ddim amser i fynd rownd yr holl bethau. A da ni'n mynd â bobl ifanc o gwmpas rhai o prosiectau ni, ond y bwysicach na hynny, da ni'n dangos yr ardal iddyn nhw a beth sy'n mynd ymlaen yn yr ardal, a hynny'n cyd-destun newid hinsawdd. Pan da ni sôn am newid hinsawdd, yn amlwg bobl ifanc ydy'r dyfodol, a be da ni'n drio dangos iddyn nhw, a dim pregethydd nhw, be sy'n o'i cwmpas nhw, be sy'n mynd ymlaen o'i cwmpas nhw. Ac yn fwy na ni'n pregethu bod nhw jyst yn cael gweld, a gweld i ardal nhw drwy llygyd chydig bach yn wahanol gobeithio. Le fan'na. Bach.
Mae'n thing, mae chi mynd o fama i rownd y byd. Ie. A nos nos. Pa mae economi drwg den.
Bingo.
Protect the economy.
Economy ni really drwg. Da ni gwerthu llechi a yet again mae economi ni drwg. Make it make sense.
Da ni wedi creu yr log store yma. Da ni'n cymryd coed gan y cyngor a'r parc. Da ni'n llifo fo, da ni'n dod o i fama, da ni'n siopio fo, da ni'n reid o yn y shed, a wedyn da ni'n reid o allan bobl sydd ddim yn gallu fforddio cynnesu tai nhw.
Mae'n efo bod pobl yn gallu gael heating ag yn y bwyd yn gallu.
Pam dyn nhw'n gallu fforddio fo'n dathig?
Like the bill cost of prices o pethau yn mynd I fyny loads. Bydd pobl yn gallu fforddio dim byd yn diwedd.
Da ni'n sôn chydig bach be mae'r gwaith dref werth yn neud a sut mae yna cysylltiad rhwng gwaith da ni'n neud yn mathur a hefo pobl a newid hinsawdd.
OK, chi'n sgwisio fo. Sgwish, sgwish, sgwish. Wedyn, yn y dau tre yma, mae gennym ni chydig bach o llwch lli, ond mae yna hada bloda gwyllt I fewn o fama. So, da ni'n cwbod yn ei wneud, ydy jyst mynd blop. Ni'n wneud cystadleuaeth taflu bom hadau, seed bom, a wedyn mae'r enillydd yn cael mushroom. Ceitar.
They are very quiet. They don't use fuel. Exactly. So mae'n bwysig iddyn nhw wneud siŵr bod gennyn nhw rhai sy'n special sy'n gallu cadw prisio electric I lawr ac yn para'n hir. So os gennych chi rhywun adra neu nain y tais a falle a mae bulbs nhw di mynd, dewch nhw ddod I fewn iawn.
Fi fod yn dysgu bwydydd gwahanol lle maen nhw'n tyfu a sut ni angen tyfu pethau hynny. Felly da ni'n gallu gwneud tyfu gwahanol planhigion yn blaenau, felly da ni'n gallu cael rhai sy'n iachach I ein cyfle.
Brilliant. So, dwi wedi posio'r fideo fan'na, cos mae hynny jyst yn fi dweud diolch o pawb oedd wedi helpu. Wedyn mae hynny jyst yn rhoi blas I chi ar y cylchdau lle, ar bwrlwm oedd yn ynghlwm a hynny lle. A wedyn, jyst trio symud hwn i'r... Ddim yn gweithio eto wan, pam dwi'n methu mynd i'r un nesaf? Ydych chi'n gweld yr... Da ni. Briliant. A wedyn, jyst I sôn yn sydyn iawn, achos dwi'n meddwl bod amser fi wedi dod I ben. Jyst y cam, wel, da ni newydd orffan wan ydy, sef y cynulliadau ar yr Hinsawdd, lle oedden ni'n dod â plant o'r ysgolion ynghyd, lle yn bob ardal, a gathen nhw gyfle I nodi I yr asedau cymunedol, y pethau oedd yn bwysig iddyn nhw yn eu cymuned, oedden nhw eisiau cario ymlaen i'r dyfodol, I gweledigaethu'r dyfodol, fedrwch chi gweld hwn ar yr ochr chwith, mae gennych chi'r asedau, os liciwch chi map o'r asedau'n lleol. Ar y dde, gathen nhw gyfle I gweledigaethu y dyfodol yma, ar I bennu hynna'n I gychwyn, ond wedyn oeddwn ni'n rhannu hynna fel bod ni'n creu gweledigaeth ar y cyd, lle. A wedyn, fel da chi'n gweld yn y canol, oedden nhw'n gweithio mewn grwpiau wedyn I dod I fyny hefo syniadau pendant ynglyn â sut I mynd I wneud rwan, fel bod ni'n gallu mynd o lle da ni rwan, lle, mwyn cyrraedd y weledigaeth yma lle yn y flwyddyn 2040 neu 2050 lle. A wedyn mae yna jyst chydig o luniau fan hyn o nhw'n rhannu wedyn hefo'r cynulliadau cymunedol lle yr oedolion a fel dwi'n deud fydd I syniadau nhw wedyn yn bwydo mewn I gwaith y cynulliad yna ac yn ffurfio rhan o'r cynllun gweithredu. A wedyn, jyst I ddeud yn sydyn iawn, cama nesaf di y gweithredu, y dathlu, a wedyn edrych ymlaen at phase 2 gwyrddni wedyn, da ni wrthi'n cynllunio be fydd hynny lle. A dyna ni, a sori, dwi wedi mynd dros yr amser fymryn.
And Sioned is here, so I will introduce Sioned from Ynni Sir Gar to take over, if that's okay.
Yn enw yw Sioned Haf, dwi'n gweithio yn rhan amser I grŵp Ynni Cymunedol Ynni Sir Gar fel cydlynydd. A o'n I moyn yn rhan o'r digwyddiad yma, o'n I moyn trafod 2 adnodd addysgiadol ni wedi datblygu sydd yn berthnasol i'r pwnc gen I ni yn siarad amdano heddi. Jyst bach o cyd-destun falle yn gyntaf ynglyn â pwy yw Ynni Sir Gar. So, ni'n fenter gymdeithasol, ni wedi sefydlu yn amlwg yn Sir Gyfyrddin. Ni'n gweithio gyda cymunedau I mynd i'r afel a newid yn Hinsawdd trwy helpu lleihau costau ynni, hybu effaith lonrwydd ynni, taclo tlodi tanwydd, a lle mae'n bosib hefyd I helpu mwy o prosiectau ynni cymunedol I cael I sefydlu, so lle mae cymunedau gallu cynhyrchu ynni adnewyddadwy nhw eu hunain, ac wrth gwrs yn bwysicach nad ym byd i cadw'r elw'n lleol. So hwn yw'r prosiect mwyaf sydd gyda Ynni Sir Gyfyrddin, erbyn gwynt 500 kW. Mae wedi cael ei sefydlu yn pentre bach Salem uwchben Llandeilo. Mae wedi bod yn redeg ers 2016 a ni wedi cyrraedd y sefyllfa nawr ble ni'n gallu ail-buddsoddi arian o'r turbin gwynt yma nôl yn y gymuned. So diwedd llynedd, ni wedi lansio 2 cronfa ar wahân. Mae'r cronfa gymunedol oedd yna werth 20,000. Mae hwnna'n cael ei ail-buddsoddi mewn i prosiectau datgarboneiddio yn Sir Gyfyrddin. So mae'r arian yna wedi mynd tuag at cwpl o prosiectau gwahanol, pethau fel ynysu, insuleiddio tai a neuaddau cymunedol. Mae dyn ni'n prosiect paneli solar hefyd ar neuadd cymunedol lleol. A wedyn yr ail cronfa, mae hwnna'n benodol i bobl ifanc, wel plant o bobl ifanc, i bobl rhwng 8 a 18. A mae hwnna mwyn helpu pobl ifanc i wireddu prosiectau maen nhw'n meddwl sydd yn rili bwysig mwyn mynd i'r afel gyda newid hinsawdd. So enghraifft, y 2 prosiect wnaethon ni wedi ariannu o'r cronfa yna yn ddiweddar yw un yw creu toilet compost yn ysgol gynradd lleol, a fi'n credu hwnna bydd y toilet compost cynta mewn ysgol yn Sir Gyfyrddin os nad yng Nghymru i gyd. Mae yna elfen addysgiadol rili bwysig i hwnna yn ei hunan. Wedyn, yr ail un yw i helpu ysgol uwchradd lleol i dechrau swap shops, so maen nhw'n gallu rannu dillad o fewn yr ysgol. Ac o gael y turbin gwyntyn, mae'n amlwg wedi rhoi rôl addysgiadol i Ynni Sir Gar hefyd. Mae wedi caniatáu ni i gwahodd ysgolion lleol i dod i weld y turbin, ond hefyd i glywed amdano hanes sefydlu'r turbin, sut gafodd ei wneud. A'r holl elfennau ynglyn â perchnogaeth, a be mae hwnna'n golygu, a sut mae'r arian yn cael ei ail-buddsoddi yn y gymuned. Ond un peth o'n i'n sylwi arno wrth wneud y gwaith hyn, a ni wedi bod yn wneud y gwaith hyn ers cwpl o flynyddoedd nawr, yw bod na bwlch i gael gwybodaeth ar adnoddau ynglyn â Ynni Cymunedol i ysgolion. Mae hwn jyst fath o ffigurau bach syml iawn o adroddiad Teach the Future cwpl o flynyddoedd yn ôl. A mae jyst yn dangos yn syml iawn bod yn gyntaf, dyw pobl ifanc ddim yn teimlo fel bod nhw'n cael yr addysg a'r gwybodaeth sydd ei angen arno nhw mwyn paratoi ynglyn â dyfodol sydd wedi cael ei impactio gan newid hinsawdd, ond hefyd ar y llaw arall bod athrawon yn teimlo'r un peth, bod dim gyda nhw yr adnoddau sydd eisiau arno nhw, neu wedi cael y hyfforddiant mwyn gallu trin a trafod yr holl materion yn ymwneud gyda newid hinsawdd a materion ynni hefyd. So hwnna oedd y bwlch. Beth wnaeth Ynni Sir Gar penderfynu wneud oedd creu adnodd newydd mwyn helpu athrawon a dysgwyr i cael addysg pwrpasol ynglyn â'r materion hyn. A diddordeb Ynni Sir Gar yn benodol oedd i edrych ar hwn o perspektif diwylliannol a dyniaethol. So yn hytrach na edrych ar y pethau gwyddonol a technolegol falle, o'n i'n edrych mwy ar pethau fel Sara'n gweud, yn gynt fel pethau fel teimladau, syniadau, ymddygiad ni, arferion byw ni, a trio eto fel oedd Izzy yn gweud yn gynt hefyd, a syniad hyn o dychmygu beth pa fath o dyfodol ni moyn cael. A ni'n trio lincio hwnna mewn wedyn yn yr adnodd gyda'r syniad o dinasyddiaeth gweithredol. A mae dyn ni diddordeb hefyd, fel oedd Izzy yn gweud, ar y dechrau fyna ynglyn â gorbryder hinsawdd, achos mae hwnna'n rhywbeth yn amlwg ni'n dod ar draws wrth gweithio gyda pobl ifanc. So o'n i'n moyn pontio'r syniad hyn o sut mae bod yn dinesydd gweithredol yn gallu o bosib lleddfu teimladau o anobaith. So hwn yw'r ffrwythyn llafur ni, helpu'r hinsawdd yn eich gymuned. So hwnna enw'r adnodd. Mae wedi cael ei gynllunio o'n y syniadau o cael manual DIY. So mae'r llwyth o athosniadau gwahanol ynddo fe. Achos fel ni gyd yn gwybod, mae yna mor gymaint issues gwahanol wedi cael ei gyd blethu mewn i newid hinsawdd a materion ynni. So mae hwn wedi cael ei greu ar y cyd gyda addysgwyr a ymgyrchwyr, ymchwilwyr, a mae hefyd wedi cael ei Mae wedi cael ei ddatblygu fe bod e'n gallu ffito mewn gyda cwricwlwm i Gymru hefyd. Fi jyst yn dangos y fersiwn Saesneg i chi fan hyn, ond mae'n y fersiwn Cymraeg i gael o hwn hefyd. A fel o'n i'n gweud yn gynt, chymod, y syniad yw fan hyn yw bod yr adnodd yn helpu pobl i ddychmygu pa fath o cymunedau maen nhw eisiau yn lleol a sut maen nhw'n gallu dychmygu hwnna a beth yw'r holl camau mwyn cyrraedd y pwynt yna, mwyn cyrraedd creu newid yn lleol. A mae yna tips i gael a syniadau i gael amdano sut i cymryd, sut i weithredu o fewn y gymuned. A syniad yw trwy wneud y gweithgareddau yma, bod pobl ifanc yn gallu dysgu trwy wireddu nhw. Mae'r adnodd yn annog pobl i edrych ar esiamplau ryngwladol, ond hefyd rai lleol o ymgyrchu dros yr Hinsawdd. A i edrych ar yr holl prosiectau sydd yn bodoli eisoes yn eu cymunedau nhw, achos mae hwnna'n rhywbeth ni wedi dod ar draws, really. A gweithio'r ffaith bod ni wedi bod yn Sir Gyfyrddin ers 2016, mae yna lot o bobl dal ddim yn gwybod amdano ni, a fi'n siŵr ta hwnna yw'r sefyllfa yn lot o cymunedau gwahanol Cymru. So fi'n credu mae'n rili bwysig bod athrawon ac ysgolion yn trio edrych am yr holl prosiectau anhygoel hyn sydd yn gweithio a meddwl am ffyrdd i lincio mewn gyda nhw. So mae'n anodd mynd trwy'r holl adnodd gyda chi mewn 10 munud, ond mae hwn jyst i dangos i chi be mae'n edrych fel, really, a y math o themau i ni'n trafod yn yr adnodd ei hunan. So dwi ddim jyst yn anodd ynni, ond mae pethau fel bwyd, rwydweithiau bwyd, cynaliadwy, dillad cynaliadwy, trafnidiaeth a rôl addysg yn yr holl beth. A o dan pob un thema wedyn, mae gweithgareddau gwahanol. So mewn ffordd, be ni'n trio wneud yw creu push o activists yng Nghymru mewn ffordd. So mae y rai enghreifftiau fan hyn yw annog disgyblion i trefnu gweithgareddau fel am awr y ddeiar yr un ar y top yna. A cael nhw yn y headspace yma i meddwl ni actually gallu gwneud y stwff hyn, a mae'n sport i wneud e. A mae gyd o fe yn accumulatively yn gweithio tuag at creu dyfodol gwell a tecach. So mae'r adnoddau, mae yna ar gael ar wefan Ynni Sir Gyfyrddin ar y foment. Ni'n gweithio hefyd i cael ar wefan Hwb Cymru. I chi sydd ddim yn gwybod, mae Hwb Cymru yw'r gwefan Llywodraeth Cymru am adnoddau digidol. A hwnna yw'r lle mae athrawon yn dueddol o fynd i edrych am adnoddau mwyn helpu nhw gyda pa bynnag pwnc maen nhw'n dysgu o fewn yr ysgol. A hefyd, tra fi yma o'n i moyn siarad tyme bach amdano adnodd arall i fi wedi fod yn rhan o ddatblygu cwbl flynyddoedd yn ôl. Hwn yw gwefan, fel ni'n gweud, Hwb Cymru, hwn lle mae athrawon yn mynd am adnoddau. Os chi'n teipo mewn ar y foment Ynni Cymunedol, yr adnodd nes i ddatblygu nôl yn 2017 yw'r unig peth sy'n dod lan, sydd yn gret, ond fi'n credu mae eisiau lot mwy. So, yr adnodd yna, mae wedi cael ei seilio ar nofel graffig, so stori yw e, ac mae fe i ddysgwyr rhwng 7 a 14 mlwydd oed. Mae'r stori yn dilyn y prif cymeriad Gweminar Jones, i chi'n gweld fan hyn. Fi dangos y fersiwn Cymraeg i chi nawr, ond mae yna fersiwn Saesneg i gael o hwn hefyd. A mae'r stori yn dilyn Gweminar sydd yn byw mewn pentre cyn glofal. A mae'n dilyn ni yn ystod y dydd lle mae ddi'n dechrau cwestiynu pethau fel prisiau ynni, adnoddau lleol, hanes ynni. A hanner ffordd trwy'r stori mae ddi'n dod ar draws gwahoddiad mwyn mynd i digwyddiad i drafod y potensial o cael prosiect Ynni Cymunedol yn y pentre. So mae'r holl fath o narratif, basically, mae jyst yn esbonio beth yw Ynni Cymunedol, beth yw'r pwysigrwydd o perchnogaeth lleol a sut mae'n gallu effeithio ar yr economi lleol. Ac yn rhan o hwnna wedyn, y syniad yw bod disgyblion yn darllen y stori syml a wedyn bod nhw'n cael y gweithgareddau hyn yn y dosbarth i mynd trwyddo jyst mwyn datblygu eu dealltwriaeth nhw o Ynni Cymunedol yn benodol. So, na ni, nhw'r adnoddau ni wedi bod yn datblygu. Fel ni'n gweud, mae TikTok, y nofel graffig, mae hwn ar gael ar wefan Hwb Cymru. Wedyn mae Helpu'r Hinsawdd yn eich gymuned ar gael ar wefan Ynni Sir Gar, ond ni'n gweithio mwyn cael hwnna ar gwefan Hwb Cymru hefyd. So mae popeth yn ddim i lawrlwytho. A so mae'n greit os mae pobl yn gallu hyrwyddo hwn hefyd, achos hwnna'r peth mwyaf tricky fi'n teimlo, yw i cael hwn, cael y neges trwyddo i athrawon bod y pethau hyn ar gael iddyn nhw. A so mae'n greit cydweithio hefyd gyda Energy Sparks, achos fi'n credu mae hwn yn ffito mewn yn reit dda gyda'r gwaith i chi wneud yn ysgolion De Cymru. So dwi'n mynd i e-bosto Claudia ar ôl y cyfarfod yn fi'n credu. A dyna ni, diolch yn fawr iawn. Fi'n gorffen.
You, Sioned. I love the illustrations in those pieces. They look amazing. Again, any questions in the chat, and I'll make sure that those presentations are sent out so everyone can go back and look at them. Next up, I will introduce Dan McCallum from Ynni Co-op.
Diolch, Izzy. So just stym cyflwyniad y fi, ond fi just mynd i siarad amdano'r gwaith ni. So fel Claudia wedi dweud, ni'n gweithio yn partneriaeth gyda Energy Sparks. Fi yn gweithio gyda i elusen Awel am yn Tawe. A dyn ni wedi sefydlu dwy cydweithfydd, dwy cooperatives, Awel Co-op sy'n ffer yn wynt ar y bwys Pontardawe, ac hefyd Ynni Co-op sy'n wedi wneud lot o paneli solar ar bwti 100 o twyau dros Cymru i gyd. A ni'n ariannu swyddog addysg, Jen James, mae hi'n gweithio heddi mewn ysgol mewn Casnewydd, dyma pam fi'n wneud y cyflwyniad. Ond, blwyddyn gyntaf gafon ni grant oddi wrth WCVA i talu am hi, ond wedyn ni'n talu am hi ein hunan achos mae hi'n wneud y gwaith mor gwych. Ond ni'n wneud yr un fath o gwaith fel Sioned, fel Sara wedi dweud yn yr ysgol i hybu'r plant i wneud gwahaniaeth yn yr ysgol. Ni'n licio'r ffaith amdano'r Energy Sparks achos mae'n am ddim a mae'n rhoi sort of hard data. So os mae'r plant yn wneud campaign i torri'r faint o gas neu trydar maen nhw'n defnyddio, mae'n gallu weld gwahaniaeth yn y data. So mae'n really dda i weld hwn. A mae'n just hefyd dda just i weld y plant i gael profiad o'r weld data, graphs a pethau sy'n mwy real. Y merch i, mae hi'n gweithio fel data analyst i Trainline. Mae lot o gwaith nawr yn yr byd data mawr, big data. So dyma'r un o'r benefits o defnyddio Energy Sbarcynni nawr, enw Cymraeg. Ac hefyd mae'n rhoi mwy o pŵer yn yr llaw yr plant hefyd. Fel Claudia wedi dweud, mae'n gallu weld ydy'r gwres yn dod lan am 2:00 yn y bore, a mae'n gallu siarad wedyn i'r prifathro ac hefyd i'r reolwr ynni yn y cyngor sy'n sort of redeg y system i gyd amdano'r ynni. A'r fi'n teimlo fel yn Cymru ni'n sort of controlo lot o pethau trwyddo cyngor, a mae'n bwysig ni'n sort of decentralisio shwt mae'r bobl yn deall ynni fel gyda'r gwaith Sbarcynni, Energy Sparks. So, yr gwaith ni'n trio i wneud, Jen yn gweithio yn yr ysgol, defnyddio'r Sbarcynni, ond hefyd ysbrydoli'r plant i wneud pethau. Claudia wedi ddangos y llun o'r lot o'r plant yn gwisgo yr solar capes, a'r plant yn wrth eu bodd yn gwisgo lan. So Emily sy'n gweithio gyda Jen, mae hi wedi wneud design o'r solar capes, a nawr ni'n wneud lot mwy o'n nhw, plant jyst wrth eu bodd i gwisgo lan. A ni'n enwi ar gwaith hwn ryfelwyr ynni, Energy Warriors, Ni'n cymryd nhw I weld prosiectau lleol fel yn Sir Benfro fel Cwm Arian I weld y torbyn wynt fyna I Brithdir Mawr sy'n sustainable housing yn yr ardal. Ffynnon ni'n gobeithio wneud ymweliad fyna I weld yr organic market gardening. So mae lot o pethau yn yr ardal eu hunan ni'n gallu talu am. Ac hefyd ni'n gweithio lot gyda bobl fel STEM ambassadors I dod I nhw mewn i'r ysgol. Bobl fel Blue Gem Wind sy'n datblygu ffermydd wynt, a hefyd ni wedi cael cyflwyniad wych gan River Simple amdano'r cer nhw, a mae nhw wedi cymryd y cer hydrogen nhw mewn i'r ysgol. Ni'n gweithio gyda Terry Pugh sy'n oedd e'n gweithio dan y ddaear fel yn y pwch glo, so mae'n siarad amdano'r gwaith profiad fe, ac hefyd nawr mae'n diddordeb dy fe yn y ffermydd wynt, mae'n helpu fi I redeg y fferm wynt ni. So profiad o rhywun lleol sy'n gallu siarad am o'r bywyd yn mor wych i'r plant. Fi'n sort of feddwl am ffordd yr ysgol gallu ymuno Energy Sparks. Ni'n wedi gweithio lot gyda egni co-op gyda Cyngor Sir Benfro, Cyngor Abertawe ac hefyd Cyngor Casnewydd. A'r oedd gyda egni dod I paneli solar ar y ysgol nhw. Ar ôl hon, ni wedi hybu nhw I syno lan gyda Energy Sparks ar ysgol hefyd. So mae hwn wedi bod yn wych. Hefyd Sir Gyfyrddin wedi gwneud yr un peth. Louise Morgan sy'n gweithio yn yr adran addysg yn awyddus iawn ar gwaith newid Hinsawdd. Ond ni moyn mwy o cyngor yn Cymru I wneud ond achos mae rhaid yn nhw roi yr biliau, a maen nhw'n talu am y biliau trydan a gas mewn, mae rhaid i'r cyngor I ymuno Sbarcynni. Mae'n gallu gweithio dwy ffordd. Ni'n gallu siarad i'r reolwr ynni yn rhoi y profiad positif o'r Casnewydd, Sir Gyfyrddin, etc. Ond hefyd ysgol gallu just ymuno ei hunan. And wedyn ni'n gallu defnyddio that pressure I roi, not pressure, but just I siarad i'r cyngor, look, ysgol hyn moyn ymuno, maen nhw'n ffili achos yr biliau gyda ti, gyda'r cyngor, so mae'n gallu gweithio ar dwy ffordd. But ni moyn mwy o ysgol Cymraeg I ymuno. And oedd e'n wych hefyd ar Llywodraeth Cymru wedi talu am yr cyfieithu Sbarcynni nawr, achos oedd rai ysgol yn Casnewydd dim ond Cymraeg, oedd nhw yn moyn defnyddio yr gwefan hefyd, ond doedd e ddim yn Cymraeg. So mae'n really wych, mae'n cael ei cyfieithu, mae wedi cael ei cyfieithu nawr. So ni moyn mwy o ysgol Cymraeg I ymuno ac I defnyddio yr iaith ar y Cymraeg ar y ochr fyna o'r gwefan. OK, dyma ne. Diolch yn fawr.
Thank you. Dan, again, any questions? I think there was one question for you in the chat, but we can save that for the Q&A if you like, or you can answer it in the chat. Last but not least, definitely not least, we have Chloe from Art and Energy.
Hello everyone. I'm so pleased to be here. Thank you so much for inviting me to join this amazing session. What an incredible group of people you've got speaking. And the thing that I love about the things that people have been saying is the focus on hope, the focus on positivity, alleviating eco-anxiety, doing, the building of utopia being something that we're all in the process of building together right here and right now in the way that we're doing it. And it makes me feel really excited and happy to see so many people doing such great things. So thank you. So I would like to tell you initially about Art and Energy. We're a collective of artists, makers, thinkers and tinkerers that are based in the southwest of England. But really do work all over the place. We are 5 years old yesterday, so I'm feeling very excited about being 5. And the first project that we did was, this is a postcard of this project. It's a piece of solar art called Dawn Breaks. And what we wanted to do was to show that you can make solar artworks that generate electricity, or make solar panels that can also be beautiful. And the reason for wanting to do that was to show people that our visions of the future might be better than we might be able to even imagine right now, and that we have the capacity through imagination to do more than we might even realize we can do now. When we're going to be spending the next year making lots more of these, so if you'd like to see any more solar artworks and solar artworks in action, so using the energy for something, then please do follow what we do. And through doing this, we realized that we could teach people how to get hands-on and make their own power. And if you've never made a solar panel before, let me strongly encourage you to do it, because there is nothing quite like the magic of realizing that you've captured energy from the sun in a system and you've turned it into electricity. It's just quite the most breathtaking feeling. You never believe right up until the last moment that you're going to be capable until you do, and that's a very special thing. So that feeling of the wow factor, that feeling of the magic of possibility, is something that we try really hard to capture when we're designing our participatory art projects. And there's all sorts of reasons why you might choose to work with artists. You can help give a voice to people who don't feel brave enough to show support for your projects. You can help people find steps on their journey to exploring something new. You can open up doors of possibilities in the imagination. You can help people find their own path. You can alleviate eco-anxiety. The list goes on as to why one might invite people to be creative in response to the climate emergency. Now, we often work with community energy groups. We particularly work with Plymouth Energy Community, Totnes Renewable Energy Society, and Exeter Community Energy, but we also work with others as well. And over the last, well, throughout 2020, we invited people to explore the world through the eyes of moths in a project called Moths to a Flame. So you may have come across it, you may have even got involved. 58,000 people across the UK and overseas were involved in helping us build this project, where we were, which we made for COP26. So we took 20,000 moths made by people all over the world up to COP26 and displayed them in the Botanic Gardens for COP. And the idea was about trying to allow people who wanted to be more active and to show that they supported the work that we're all doing in response to the climate emergency, and they want to see more action on climate change, but maybe we're not brave enough to be in a march, maybe we're not brave enough to hold up a banner or to write a letter to their MP, but they were willing to show support. So those moths were sent up. But I suppose even more importantly than the demonstration of support was the invitation to connect with the natural world. So you may or may not know that moths are a pretty awesome creature. There's moths all around us, and you don't have to look very hard to discover moths. And moths, in their attraction to light and the destruction that has for their lifestyles, speaks to us about our own dependency on energy, our own addiction to our energy systems, and the impact that it has on biodiversity. And so that magic of finding a moth that you never realized was out there, that looking at the moth and recognizing it as a real life form that has an existence on this planet, that is doing something very special for our planet. And then thinking about your relationship with energy in relation to that. You know, can you ask yourself the question, could I turn the lights off? Could I, you know, what could I do to preserve those lives? So if you're interested in knowing any more about this is a collection of poems and artworks and a story of the project. You can find an e-copy on our website, artandenergy.org. And obviously that's free. There are hard copies available in our shop, but by all means have a look through. And I hope you'll be as delighted by the diversity of ways that people found to get involved and go on their own journey to respond to the climate emergency, find their own path and take their own steps and begin to get together. Now, throughout 2021, we were thinking, what on earth do we do after that? We've been doing all sorts of projects like this. This is a solar-powered nightlight, which we run workshops with community energy groups on. This is inviting people to make something that they can have as an eco-reminder. So this is a thing that someone makes for themselves. It's got a solar panel in it, and people sit for 3 or 4 hours to share their energy stories, what they're doing in their own homes, what they're interested in, what they're worried about. They make their home and they think about the sort of home that they would like to live in the future. And then this object sits on their windowsill and provides them with a bit of magic, or, you know, all through the year. It provides a talking point for people to share with their families, to share with their friends, and to feel really proud about. And it helps people make those next steps. So while we've been working on those, we've also been developing a project called Bury the Giant, How to Bury the Giant. So how to bury the giant. The giant is the climate emergency. And we're going to be going very small for our new project, looking at mosses. So mosses, you'll understand, began to inhabit the land on the earth 450 million years ago. In fact, they are the species that are responsible for us living in a world that is habitable for us. They've made the world a habitable place for humans. And they're tiny and they're really resilient. They are able to exist in every territory. They're able to thrive and learn, and they do amazing things. They obviously absorb, sequester carbon, bury carbon under the ground. They also capture toxins from the air. They remove everything from radiation to, you know, NOx, and they capture them in their bodies and purify the air. They create places where things can grow. So they create the right environment for seeds and other plants to grow. They create earth. We're really excited by this new narrative as a way of helping people understand that tiny actions can make a massive difference when we all work together. And that doing work to preserve wetlands and peatlands is going to be really important for us, from creating environments which are carbon rich in the future. So I'm going to show you how we're going to do the mass participation element to this, because obviously we like working with lots of people, and we know that we're only a small team. So we basically try and create environments in which people can do their own thing in their own way. And I'm going to share my screen now to introduce you to Bury the Giant Club. So Bury the Giant Club is an online platform that anyone can join for free. And it has a load of resources and ideas and things that people can do. And I'd strongly encourage you to share some of the amazing resources that you've shown us today on this space. Now, this is the welcome for Bury the Giant Club. So
hello, and welcome to Bury the Giant Club. I'm Chloe from the Art and Energy Collective. We're a group of artists, makers, thinkers and tinkerers, all using our skills to create a brighter, greener future. And we've been inspired by moss to create this new mass participation art project called How to Bury the Giant. Now, the climate emergency is overwhelming. It's the giant of our times. And to bury the giant, we need to act more like mosses and harness our creativity. This year, we hope you will join us and develop your own work of art, music, poetry, writing, cooking, growing. You can choose whatever way you want to be creative that appeals to you. And by the end of the year, we hope that you will contribute one of your pieces to an exhibition and a book to raise funds to reduce carbon emissions and support people who are in fuel poverty. And we'll share the details here. This mega mossy challenge welcomes anyone anywhere to join in and have some arty fun. Every month, you can join us online and we'll explore the fascinating miniature world of mosses to find inspiration and ideas for your creative journey. There will be simple activity sheets, prompts, and fun creative challenges that you can do on your own or with your group. You'll meet other artists and makers, moss and ecology experts, climate scientists, people exploring the tiny creatures that live in moss and the way that the mosses support all of life. We'll hear from people with carbon and moss stories, from the moors and the woodlands, and even from the pavement outside your door. And we'll find out what sort of mossy magic is happening near you. We hope you'll share your ideas and suggestions as we go so that we can all learn from each other and be inspired. We know that everyone is creative in their own way and we all have something unique to offer. And although each of us is small, like mosses, we can make a big difference for our planet. So, now that you're here, have a look around the site and let us know what you think.
What is my top message? My top message is find the poetry, find the magic and the art in what we're all doing, because everyone here is doing incredible work. And to connect with a broader range of people, to connect with people who don't really know that energy and the environment is their thing yet. The magic of collaborating with artists of all forms to find those kind of human, mythic, deep stories that connect us all to ourselves and to the natural world. That's my, that I think is really the key to really successful creative engagement and making even more of the fabulous work that everyone's already doing.
Thank you, Chloe. We probably only have about 5 minutes now for some questions, so feel free to put some in the chat. The first one I'm going to address, because it gives me a good chance to share about the working group, is Duncan has said, interested to know, that's the wrong question. There needs to be one source where all climate activities in Wales can be brought together. Does it exist? As far as I'm aware, it doesn't. But I would invite you, if this is something you're interested in, to join a working group, and this is part of what the working group could be working on, is a resource, is a place to put all of this together. These details will be sent out in the email afterwards so that you can join then, but I'll also put Gwynal's email in the chat so that if you want to join, you can join through that. The first one is at 10 AM on Tuesday the 7th of February, but don't worry if you can't make that, because I'm sure you'll be able to make subsequent ones. So yeah, there's a few things in the chat people are pointing out, and working group would be a great way to make some of those things happen. And there's Gwynal's email. Oh, that's sent as a picture. Does anyone have any questions for anyone in particular? I know there's been some asked in the chat. I know one, I think for you, Chloe, was about how you made the solar panels. Do you make them from raw materials?
Oh yeah, so we make them from solar cells. So we have learned how to cut solar cells, and there's a glaze that is over the surface of the solar cells that lets light through. So you can actually have green and gold and pink and all sorts of different colored solar cells. So it's just essentially using exactly the same way that we currently build solar panels, which is a kind of sandwich of glass and glue and solar cells connected together and then glue and then blah, blah, blah. But we've just been a bit more imaginative with the way that we put them together. So it is all very fun, and I welcome people to come and join us to learn how to do it at some point.
I think that's similar to what Dan put in the chat, that they've also been doing that. Yeah.
That's fab. I don't know which Dan it is, but if it's Dan from Demand Energy Equality, they're brilliant and definitely recommend doing that.
Does anyone else have any other questions before we close? No? Okay. If no one has any question, okay, David.
I just thank you for organising the event. It's been very fruitful, and I think lots of potential here for future development. What struck me in observing the session is this necessary focus on connecting and locality, and driving things from grassroots upwards, and starting in the education system seems highly appropriate, particularly with the advent of our new curriculum. But it also seems to me there's a lot of rich material at the international level that can be shared, and we'd be very happy to share video material that we have available from aroundtheworld.com, where they've been looking at cooperative solutions to climate change and related issues. So very happy to share that material with other people. Thank you.
Would you be able to put that link in the chat, David? And I can make sure it's shared afterwards.
Yeah, I can.
Yeah, lots of these things, again, are things that can definitely be shared in the working group and further forward from that. Did anyone else have any comments, questions in the last few minutes? Otherwise, we can finish early.
Just to say, if anybody, os mae rhywun eisiau cael gafel ar unrhyw un o'r adnoddau Cafodd ei rhannu heddi I gysylltu â ni yn Ynni Cymunedol Cymru, a fedrwn ni trial dosbarthu nhw mas os chi'n methu cael gafel arno unrhyw siaradwr penodol, dewch ato ni.
Yeah, I think the plan is to gather those materials and send them out to everyone who has attended afterwards. Amazing. So I think we can leave it there then. 5 minutes early. Everyone can have 5 minutes to themselves. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining. As I said, details for the working group and those presentations will be sent out to everyone. So hopefully you can keep connected. Thank you to all of our speakers. It's been inspiring for me to be here, and yeah, we'll hopefully see you all very soon.